Hi, and welcome back to The Ultimate Question. This is part 3, The Afterlife. We will be exploring, do you believe in the existence of an afterlife? Which is directly tied into, do you believe in God? Is this all there is? Does our consciousness stop when our body ceases to function? We will look at man's exploration, fascination, and curiosity as to a world beyond this one that is attainable only when we pass through the door that death opens up to us. A world that seems to periodically cross over and touch us, both to influence what is going on in our lives, but also to remind us that that world exists. Intuition, premonition, gut feelings, dreams will all be looked at as to why do we experience these events. So let's get ready to explore one of man's greatest questions. What is beyond this world? Let's get started. We do not have genuine evidence of an afterlife. So why invest in something that you're not sure even exists? By being good in order to obtain this afterlife, we actually limit our chances of prospering and enjoying all of the pleasures that this life in this world have to offer. So there's nothing to invest in beyond this. Live to enjoy the now. Okay, and now we start the hardest of the topics concerning why people don't believe in God. Not believing in an afterlife. That this is all there is. That once we close our eyes in this world, that's it. Lights are out, consciousness ceases, and that this world is all that there is to live for and to live in, that there's nothing beyond. So it's the hardest of all to explain because it requires the most faith. And yet it is the core and purpose of our existence. What we do and how and why is all based on, do you or do you not believe in an afterlife, which is tied in with, do you believe that God exists? Now, referring to science, physics describes energy in this manner. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but only change from one form to another. So under this principle, this energy that we call life, our consciousness, cannot cease when the body that presently contains it no longer can. So where does it go? Now mankind has shown an innate understanding and desire to understand a world beyond this one throughout history. Egypt, a society that focused primarily on the journey between here and an afterlife. But all societies and cultures have continued to explore and expand and try to interpret what is this world that is invisible to us, but yet every once in a while intrudes and reveals its existence within this one. Now, we have always questioned, where do we go after this world? And that question is usually followed by, how do I ensure that I will continue on to this new world? What do I need to do to ensure that my consciousness, my being, will continue to exist once the physical body can no longer sustain you in this world? Now, we've seen that man has, throughout history, through art and literature, and now movies and entertainment has always explored this topic and always sought to construct an understanding and interpretation of what is life on the other side. Can life from the other side contact us, intervene with us? Look at a lot of the movies that have been very popular movies, like Ghost, showing a person who died still interacting in this world. Soul, a recent Disney movie that tries to explain how we wind up being launched from that spiritual essence into this world. Field of Dreams, The Sixth Sense, Harry Potter shows, because that also shows the existence of this other world that is invisible to us here, but that you can manipulate if you are aware of it. It's a Wonderful Life, which was a movie that showed us not only that a spiritual world exists, but how important our lives in this world are. Beetlejuice, Casper the Friendly Ghost, shows like The Twilight Zone, they always try to touch on what's happening, trying to explain these events that occasionally happen in our lives that we can't explain and that seem to be an influence from an outside world into this one. So the inexplicable phenomena suggesting another world that we constantly hear of or even experience ourselves is a reminder, and it serves to spark our understanding and curiosity of what is this other side? What is it? How does it exist? And how can I be sure that I get there? Now, it can be expressed through a chance encounter. You know, you're thinking about somebody you haven't seen in a long time, and the next day you're walking and that person happens to turn the corner. Phone calls that you get with someone who's not even sure why they called you. They just like, oh, you know, I was looking for something and I found a piece of paper with your name and your phone number, and I just thought of giving you a call. And you had thought about that person the day before. We've all heard about the lottery dreams. A person has a dream where either they see or someone, usually deceased, appears and gives them the numbers, and they play them and they win. So let's explore that idea of the dream world, because the dream world has always been seen as like the twilight between this world and the other world. Let's explore that dream world and some interesting phenomena that has happened through that. Dr. James Watson, he was studying DNA, trying to figure out how DNA works and how it's constructed and etc. In 1953, he has a dream where he sees this double staircase. Now, if you've ever seen DNA as it's modeled, that's what it looks like. He stayed on that idea, and that he pursued that and expanded on that idea from that dream, and he was correct. And in 1962, he won the Nobel Prize in Medicine. There was a Danish physicist, Niels Bohr. He was trying to figure out the atom, how the atom was constructed and how the atom operated and came to be. He had a dream where he saw the atom represented like our solar system, with the sun in the middle, planets circling, and he continued to pursue this idea from the inspiration of the dream, and he eventually came to the nucleus with protons and electrons and the construct of an atom. In 1922, he won the Nobel Prize for Physics. But one of the greatest examples of a revelation in dreams changed the course of human history forever, and is documented. Constantine Roman emperor, in 1312 AD, was in the middle of a battle between his right to succeed the throne and another claiming to be the emperor. And there were two armies, and they were going to have a battle. The next stage, huge battle, and basically for the control of Rome and most of the known world at that time. And he had a dream where he saw the cross, symbol of Christianity. Now remember that for Rome at that time, Christianity was a persecuted religion. Christians were hunted, persecuted, and executed. But he sees this cross above the sun. Now for their religion, the pagan religion, the sun was the symbol of their god. So he sees this cross above their god. And he hears a voice that says, "In this sign, you will conquer." The next day, he has his men put that symbol that he saw on their shields. And they went out and were victorious in battle. And he attributed that voice and that revelation to Christ, converted to Christianity. Now think about that. This government that was dedicated to pursuing and exterminating Christianity, its emperor has now converted to that very religion and is now a protected official religion of the Roman Empire. He changed Christianity from that persecuted, hunted religion, and thus began the worldwide spread of the gospel as Jesus had instructed, and now his followers were free to do so. A message in danger of extinction. God found the way to bring that message of salvation from the seat of the greatest empire of its time so that it could be heard throughout the world. Now, that's pretty inexplicable. So we see examples of where there's a reaching out from that other world to influence our lives here. But here's another question. Let's say you don't believe in an afterlife. You're firm in the idea that this is all there is. When you die, you close your eyes, all extinguished. So what compels you to be a decent, honest, fair person? If this is all there is and there's nothing afterwards, then why wouldn't you grab for everything pleasurable in this world, in this brief lifespan that we have? Fame, money, power, and to get it by whatever means necessary. There's something that doesn't let us do that. Because by not believing in God or an afterlife, you'd have full license to do these things and get whatever you wanted, and you wouldn't even think about it. You'd sleep like a baby at night because this is all there is. It's dog eat dog, get it before the other guy takes it. That's all there is, just like the animals do. So what stops you from being that kind of person? Consider how we feel when we knowingly do something bad. We feel ashamed, guilty, wrong, in danger of losing something precious. And this is regardless as to whether anyone knows or doesn't know that you did this. If you were the only person, you still are haunted by a feeling of uneasiness, the need to make that right. This comes because we have a moral compass that is built in and innate in all of us. That moral compass knows and shows us what is the right way. So where did that come from? Where does this universal, instinctive, and innate tendency to want to do the right thing and to be a good person come from? Oh, there's an interesting verse in the Bible. It's from Hebrews 10:16, and it says, "This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my laws on their hearts and write them on their minds." That means that we come into this world already knowing, almost like instinctively imprinted in us, what is right and what is wrong. And that right and wrong is not just so that we'll have orderly societies and etc., but we know that that is to qualify us, that by following this and believing in this, that we are demonstrating our worthiness to live in this world beyond. You see, we all come from the same Creator. We're drawn from the same fabric, and we all seek the same thing. Now, the only thing that breaking these spiritual laws penalizes us with is the loss of the continuation to the afterlife. That's it. There are things in this world that we'll benefit from. I mean, if you're a good person, you'll be blessed and things will be good for you. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be like incredibly successful, wealthy, powerful, famous. No, you'll probably live a regular, humble life, but you'll live a life of peace, of happiness. But inside of you, that certainty that as time marches on and we get older and we get nearer to what is going to be our final day here, you have that assurance of, I've done the best I can with what I know. And I believe that I'm setting myself up so when that time comes to take my final breath, that I'm going to be drawn into this other world. And that comfort that you have when you know that you're following the right way, you know that that treasure is going to be waiting for you. And that's a very satisfying reason, no matter what's going on in this world. Even when your time approaches, you'll have that peace of saying, I'm ready, and I know that that door is going to open and bring me into a greater world. Now, that world is beyond the effects of physics and time, like this world is. We age, we oxidize, we will get older, more feeble. Here we can be hungry, we can be threatened with being killed. You're free of all of that. In the afterworld, you're a spiritual being, pure. So not only are you free of all the negatives of living in this world, you're also living in the midst of people who are loving and kind and empathetic and caring and see each other as you see them, as family, and who not only accept, but want to live in the presence of God, in the gratefulness of saying, thank you, Lord, for giving us this beautiful world, for giving us the opportunity to share it with you and to have you now in our lives forever. That's a tremendous offer. And what is required of us to do so is really nothing that takes away any of the enjoyment of this life. On the contrary, it will steer you away from a lot of the negatives. By being a good person, you're not going to find yourself hiding from the police or people who are after you, or owing a lot of money because you are addicted to pleasures that you can't afford or that are unhealthy or that destroy your relationships. So what is the loss in pursuing the afterlife and living in a manner that brings us to the assurance that we'll be part of it? It's an afterlife that we universally know is way beyond anything this world could offer. So what in this world could outbid the treasure of that afterlife? We get occasional peeks of it. in our lives, moments of where you're moved out of a situation and you could feel the force, something, a voice that spoke to you, or even an actual nudge out of harm's way. And when those things happen, they're there to remind us and to demonstrate to us, you're not wasting your life by believing in me, by believing in what I offer. So the question is, do you allow yourself to see that? But when we have those instances, they stick with us. You can even recall moments when you were a child. Children have a lot of instances where that intervention comes in because they're still innocent and pure and believing and loving. But as we get older, a lot of us start to veer off. This is the beginning of our egos becoming the louder voice in our lives. But like the prodigal son, we soon realize the emptiness of that life and begin our journey back to the clear path that our spiritual compass was originally pointing us to. So to insist that there is no afterlife is to dismiss a tremendous amount of evidence that there is. Some of that evidence is in life events, ours, things we see in other people, things we read about, and some of it is just feelings. But together, they serve to reinforce the sense and the understanding of a world beyond this one. Our original inclination is to believe and to want to live the kind of life so that when that opportunity presents itself, as it will for all of us at some point, and that door opens, that we can live with the confidence and the knowledge that we have prepared ourselves to be able to walk through and enter that other world. That's really what gives life meaning. So in summary, belief in the existence of an afterlife gives us the reason to live the moral and righteous life that God has written into our consciousness. It's interesting that those who do not believe in God or an afterlife still show evidence of following this moral compass, even though through their logic, you would say, well, why not enjoy everything through whatever means necessary to obtain it, if this is all there is? It's a world that would actually be dangerous to permit people who are still capable of selfishness, deception, and violence to exist. The harm they could cause would be catastrophic, and so great care is taken to allow only those who would not abuse and have the capacity to use and benefit from the powers that this other world would give us. Believing in an afterlife brings with it a dedication to a way of life that God has presented to us that allows us to demonstrate our worthiness and capacity to live in this other world. A world where we're no longer bound by the laws of physics as we know them, and where powers and eternal lives are available to us. The afterlife is something we have to earn, and we earn that by demonstrating in this life that we are capable of being citizens in this new world, joining our Creator and learning and sharing with Him the beauty and wonders that this universe holds for us to explore and reveal. So this is the end of our 3-part series, The Ultimate Question, Does God Exist? We approached it from 3 positions. One was, does science explain everything that we see? Secondly, if there is a God, why isn't He present and visible in our lives? And lastly, is there actually an afterlife? As far as science, we showed why we shouldn't allow science to smother and convince us that God doesn't exist, that everything is explainable through science. Well, we see that isn't the case. What we have seen is that there is incredible wonder and mystery in this world and in the universe that suggests that this is all the result of an incredibly creative imagination that is beyond our capability to comprehend, and that is at the core of everything that we see. We also looked at, why is God not present and visible in our lives? Well, we saw how if God was an overbearing, constant, intimidating presence in our lives, that would not encourage us to demonstrate our real selves. A real self that must be revealed in order to allow us entry into a world that is beyond this one. God is present in our lives, but it's subtle, and it influences and helps navigate our lives along the path for understanding, revelations, and revealment of His existence and the type of life that we need to live. If we don't see it, a lot of times it's because of our denial, not because it isn't there. And finally, we explored the concept of an afterlife, of how we have an intuitive sense and a curiosity of the existence of a world beyond this one, an existence that periodically intrudes or gives us a glimpse of something beyond this world, not just to influence our lives here, but also to give us that reminder that there is something beyond what we see. And we've seen how the time that afterlife world comes in, it changes us and even history. Does God exist? That's a question that only you can answer. All we've done is offer evidence and suggestions to come to the conclusion that yes, He does. And all we can encourage you to do is to seek in your hearts, search in your minds, and open your eyes to the world that's around you, where you're going to see the evidence and the existence of God, and to dedicate your life to the understanding, the learning, and the revelation of the type of life that you want to live in order to demonstrate and to say, I am worthy, I am ready to move into this greater world that because of your immense love, you have offered to us. But we have a responsibility to be on that path and to achieve the destination. And with the help of God and your will, there is no obstacle in your life that can prevent you from getting there. So we thank you for watching. We hope that you've gotten something out of this, just a seed to make you think and open your mind as to the world that we live in and the world that we can be in. So thanks for watching. Right after this, you're going to see information as to how to check for future episodes. It'll be under The Ultimate Question. EXPVET is the channel. We thank you. God bless. Have a great day, and we hope to see you soon. Take care.